Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Opinion Machine, the show where we talk about all things gaming, and my name is Killjoy. Today we're going to talk about this recently announced remake of Splinter Cell Ubisoft are working on. Now, before we get into this, right, I am aware that Ubisoft are still not in the good books of many people, just like Activision Blizzard. I want to bring this up to make sure you guys know that, look, I haven't... Ubisoft are in a weird place, right? We know that there's some dodgy stuff that's gone on there, and we haven't seen much change. We've heard that the people that work there have said not much has changed. So whether I'm actually going to buy this game or not, I don't know right now. It really depends on what changes and if things are actually changed by the time this game comes out, because we're probably about 3 years away from this even coming out, at the minimum, I reckon. So, but I do want to cover it because Splinter Cell is quite near and dear to my heart. I really like most of the games in the franchise, and I just want to see what these guys have to say and what they're planning on doing. And I'm just going to go down this Ubisoft website, and I am going to read the article, and we'll go from there. So it's being made by Ubisoft Toronto, and it's going to be put on the Snowdrop engine. Anyway, so this was a couple of days old, so I'm a little bit late getting to this, but so Ubisoft has greenlit the development of a Splinter Cell remake, which is cool. It's being done by Ubisoft Toronto, and it's the same engine for Star Wars and Avatar Frontiers. Anyway, I want to see what questions they ask them, and I want to see what the developers are responding with. So, so apparently this is the creative director Chris Orty, producer Matt West, and technical producer Peter Handorinos. And I apologise if I got those names wrong. Anyway, so how are you approaching the Splinter Cell as a remake? What makes it a remake and not a remaster? To me, a remake takes what you do in a remaster and goes a little bit further with it. That's the right attitude, but I would say it's a lot more. It's definitely not a little bit more, it's a lot more. The original Splinter Cell has a lot that was amazing and revolutionary at the time it came out 19 years ago, which is nuts to think about. The gaming public now has even more refined palette, so I think it kind of has to be a remake as opposed to a remaster. Now, I don't think that's true. I think you could remaster. Don't get me wrong, I'm kind of glad they're going for a remake. You could remaster the original Splinter Cell, update the controls, 4K the visuals, and up the visuals a little bit, and do those quality of life, and you'd be fine. I do think people would buy that, but I think the fact they're doing what I assume is a full from the ground up remake, cool. Although we're still in the very earliest stages of development, what we're trying to do is make sure the spirit of the early games remains intact. Great. That's what I want to hear. In all of the ways that it gave early Splinter Cell its identity. So as we're building it from the ground up, we're going to update it visually, nice, as well as some of the design elements to match player comfort and expectations, which I assume means control and quality of life. And we're going to keep it linear like the original games, not make it open world. Thank you. It doesn't need to be. If you're remaking the original Splinter Cell, keep it level based. How do we make sure that new fans are able to pick up the controller and dive right in and fall in love with the game and world is right from the get-go? So far, great. Not an open world game. Sounds like it's keeping it linear. Sounds like they're making it look nicer, especially with lighting in this day and age. The lighting engine's probably going to be great. New controls, quality of life, all that good stuff. From a tech perspective, if I had to boil it down to a couple of words in terms of difference, what we're doing is exploration and innovation here. We've got a new engine and a new console life cycle to take advantage of, so the tech is one area that we don't want to be stuck in the past. The phrase stealth action redefined from the original game has actually proven to be really valuable North Star for us. Interesting. We're able to, for example, apply that to what Peter was just saying as far as being able to prototype and innovate and test some stuff out. That is very much in keeping with us redefining what stealth action is going to feel like a modern audience. Now, to be honest, you don't need to change too much. Like, the good thing about Splinter Cell is, especially the original, you make that AI, bring up the AI in it, you make the controls, the movement, everything feel like just fun. You feel like it really works, like you are playing like a stealth guy who is, you know, can crawl along the ceiling on pipes and jump between the walls and all this stuff. Like, you nail all that and you've got yourself onto a winner. Like, you just need to update the way that the game controls and animates and the way the AI works. Because let's be honest, the AI in the original game is probably quite stupid at this point. I haven't played it for a while. I imagine they are. But yeah, do all that stuff. Like, and you're onto essentially like the improvements I think most people would want. What aspects do you think are most important to update? What is the core of this experience that needs to be preserved? Splinter Cell was a breakthrough in stealth. As Matt mentioned, it was stealth redefined with a huge focus on getting that core gameplay right above all and delivering on an ideal, be a ghost. So So yeah, very much that playstyle in the later ones as well, where you could go more guns blazing, but yeah, be a ghost, to get in and out without being seen. It's important for us to preserve the sense of mastery by supporting players who observe the situations, make their plan, use their gadgets, and outsmart the enemy creatively to deal with the challenges that are presented with. Ideally, they end up coming out the other side with no one having realised you were even there. And that's the thing, right? In the original 2 Splinter Cell games, you could set the alarm off 3 times. On the 3rd time, you would fail the mission. I think you should have it so that if you're going to play this game, normal mode will probably be you can set the alarm off, but you get a lower score or whatever. Hard and above will probably be you have limited times you can do that. But they're right. The idea was you get in, you get the information, you steal what you needed to, and nobody knew you were there. And if you had to, you'd knock people out, or you would shoot them. But ideally, you try and do it without ever letting anyone know you're there, and that was kind of the challenge and the fun of it. Right, one of the things that, from my point of view, is really exciting about this project is the last couple of games that all of us have worked on have been really big worlds. What that means is that the economy of the decisions is spread out, whereas what I love about a Splinter Cell map is every square inch represents intentionality. Every square inch is part of a choice or directly offers a choice, or has a direct ramification. That density of gameplay is at the forefront in Splinter Cell, and that's going to be really, really important for us. The gameplay experience we are targeting is directly tied to what we want players to feel, to capture the essence back when we're all playing the original games. Basically means we're making a linear game, we're not making an open world. You might have areas which are narrow corridors, you might have areas that are outside that you can use to navigate, but it's essentially, it's streamlined and it's linear. None of this like, I'm gonna go this way and go miles away around. Like, no, you have to deal with what's put in front of you, which is good because we don't want a like an open world Splinter Cell would be fine in some ideas. Like, I could see some cool stuff like that, but what makes Splinter Cell so fun is having these puzzles, essentially these levels put out of you in front of you, and you dealing with what's there. Yeah, and preserving what made those early games so compelling. We recognise a huge part of the appeal of Splinter Cell is the flawless planning, execution, and satisfaction you feel when you go in and absolutely ace every encounter. Seeing your mastery put on display at the end of things, especially when you go through with no alarms triggered. There you go. That's a big part of Splinter Cell experience, and we want to be sure we're honouring that. Now, in Splinter Cell Blacklist, there is a level where you're on a boat and you have to do it without setting off an alarm, I think. And that is one of the best, like, I love the design of that level, and that's the kind of thing that makes the original Splinter Cell game so good. Like, the first 3 especially, it's just the design of the levels and things. I love it. I really, like, part of me is really excited for this. Splinter Cell is being remade in the Snowdrop engine. What does it enable you to do that wouldn't have been possible 19 years ago, or wouldn't be possible with other engines even now? I'm going to say right now, it's something about lighting is going to come up without a fact, without a problem. Snowdrop is a proven modern AAA engine. It empowers content creators and programmers alike to try things quickly, see what works, and ultimately find success. I think that's one of its major advantages, allowing us to quickly find the modern equivalent of that core Splinter Cell gameplay. Some other AAA engines out there do not afford this type of iteration speed necessarily, and so this is what what really gives Snowdrop an edge when bringing Splinter Cell up to speed on a modern engine. Okay, sounds good. I can't really comment on this. Taking a step back, what was your first experience with the first Splinter Cell? What made it special to you in 2002? Bloody hell, was it really that long ago? My background has been in level design and level creation for the past 20 odd years, and seeing that back then, that there could be cloths that flap as I move through them, and that's some of the sort of actual genuine interaction between me as the player and the world I'm in. Seeing the enemies moving around, allowing me to plan and make different judgment calls based on where they are and what's happening. That had a huge impact on me early on. Things like thermal visor and using that as a gameplay element, these things were not just graphical bells and whistles, they were actually relevant to the experience. From a team perspective, we're all behind that philosophy that stuff gets added is not just eye candy. It has relevance and a bearing on the game itself. So that was a huge defining moment for me playing Splinter Cell for the first time, seeing the tech and being blown away by it, and then seeing it integrated into gameplay. That was a big moment and a good memory. And to be fair, like, there's a lot of stuff those games did back then. They're on all the old consoles and PC and things. It's been a while since I played the first Splinter Cell, and it definitely not aged amazingly. I think some of the other ones have, but definitely did some groundbreaking stuff. Back to the present. What is your team makeup like at this point? Are there any veterans from past Splinter Cell games? What opportunities are there for people that want to join the project? I don't know how much of this is going to be relevant. We want to invite anyone who's intrigued by what we've said to apply to join Ubisoft Toronto. We're building a new team the same way we did when we started the studio. There are technical leadership openings and roles across all different job families available, but there are a lot of vets here. So we're going to have a really good mix of people who have worked on previous Splinter Cell games and new team members who are joining and bringing fresh ideas. See, that's good. Like, having a mix, because the people that are veterans are going to know like what people really want from Splinter Cell, and then these new ones will probably bring in hopefully some cool new ideas, new gadgets, new stuff like that. I'm really curious if they're going to get Michael Ironside to voice Sam Fisher again. I think that's really important. He does such a good job of portraying that character. It's a big deal that Blacklist was the first game that ever came out of the door of Ubisoft Toronto. It's in our DNA. Oh, so these are the guys that made Blacklist. Okay, well, I really like Blacklist. I think Blacklist is really fun. It definitely is a step away from the classic Splinter Cell games, but Blacklist is a good game. Like, I really liked it. It's a universal quality of everyone who's joined so far and everyone that we're looking to bring as well. There's a respect for the brand and for the game and its history. I know everyone who's currently working on the project has spent an enormous amount of time researching, playing, reading and getting to know the games, the characters, the stories and what makes Splinter Cell awesome. Beyond what we've discussed, what is the most important for readers to take away from this announcement? Okay, so this is going to be super important. What are these guys going to nail people to be excited? And so far they've said some good things. A lot of time has passed since the original Splinter Cell, and even since the last sequel. Enough time to miss an entire console generation. Jesus Christ. So now we're going to take the time to explore what that means for us, for light and shadow, for animation, tech, for gameplay, AI, even audio. We're going to ask ourselves, where does it make sense for us to innovate? What not only fits with the legacy, but brings the game up to a level that will be expected of us, and where can we surprise our players? We want to bring them something new, yet still connect them to the feeling that they had 2 decades ago playing the masterpiece for the first time. And this is true, right? You got to think, it's been a while since... I mean, Blacklist came out, what, 2013? I got it on Wii U, so it must have been... I can't remember the exact date, but around there, I imagine. So it has been a long time since we've had a sequel. But I'm glad they've mentioned audio, AI, you know, gameplay, animations, light and shadow, all that stuff. That's the stuff they need to focus on for this to feel like a Splinter Cell game. That's going to be hugely important. So that's good stuff. I'll throw this out there. You've got to have a tagline, and one of the things that we're using currently as the tagline from the very beginning is the phrase, respect the goggles. I love the goggles as a symbol for Sam. We are making a game that is going to be modern, but built on the foundation of the brand's rich history. The game earned its stripes the right way by being innovative and challenging, and a really different experience than what was in the marketplace at the time. Respect the goggles to remind us of the fact that we have to do it justice. There's stuff that simply needs to be redone from scratch to be up to snuff for modern gameplay experience. With that though, we do need to be oh my god, what do we need to do to absolutely preserve the feeling of early Splinter Cell? We're going to be straddling the line between the spirit of the old and the comfort of the new, so that we can excite and surprise new players, but also make sure that when our returning players pick up the controller, they have that sigh of relief saying, ah yeah, they got it. That is hugely important, and I think them saying that right now is exactly that. Like, when someone like me, if and we'll get again, I will say this at the end, if we get to a point where I feel comfortable supporting Ubisoft, I will be one of those people that picks up and goes, does this feel like Splinter Cell? Is this a Splinter Cell game, or is it, you know, doesn't have the right feel to it? Doesn't feel like I'm playing a stealth operative, you know. But so far, in that sentence alone, where they're saying respect the goggles, this idea of using the night vision and the heat vision, and I think there was one other one. Yeah, it's super important to the gameplay. You need to do all that stuff to make it really interesting. Moving on, it's safe to say a lot of the team are stealth purists, and we're behind that level of seriousness when it comes to those kind of mechanics and those sorts of things that we want to see in this game. And we're very, very aware what makes the classic Splinter Cell what it is. We talked earlier about that dense world where every square inch is important because they're all a consequence of a choice or setting the table for the next choice from the player's point of view. That kind of density, that packed nature that I think was palatable in the first trilogy is going to be one of the guiding lights as we go forward. With this remake, we are building a solid base for the future of Splinter Cell. So, honestly, it sounds like, and they might just be saying all this stuff, it's hard to say, but these guys seem like they're passionate about it. They want to make games like the first 3 Splinter Cell games. I can't imagine it be completely like that, but they want to base it on the first 3 games because that original trilogy, it was very, very good. I finished the first one and the third one, I think, but I never finished the second one. But they're very much like, you know, some of my favourite stealth games. I like the entire series. I like Double Agent. I like Conviction as well. They aren't as classic as the other ones, but they still give me their Splinter Cell vibes. I like Blacklist just as much. And so, yeah, reading this interview, I'm very happy with what they're saying. It sounds like they're onto the right idea. We've got a non-open world, so we've got a nice linear experience, much more like guided experience, and not guided, sorry, that's the wrong word. Much more condensed experience. We're not going to be running off into the Aether doing like X, Y, and Z. Hopefully linear levels, hopefully a lot of levels. Working on the things that probably need to be worked on, like quality of life and AI and audio. Audio is massively important in a game like this. And so, yeah, very, very happy with what I'm hearing. Like I said before, when this game comes out, we'll see what the state of Ubisoft is and if things have improved. Like, I don't necessarily want to support them, just because, you know, they've damaged their reputation and they've really messed around with a lot of people's livelihoods, honestly, and they need to have as much attention on them, just like Activision Blizzard is right now. But from what these guys are saying, and if we strip away Ubisoft the company from these guys at Toronto for the minute and just say, these guys seem like they get it for Splinter Cell. It seems like they're going to be doing this series justice, and we will see in about, I would say, 3 to 4 years, we'll see what comes of this, and hopefully, you know, more Splinter Cell games will start getting made again, and it won't go on hiatus like it has done for God knows how long. So yeah. Anyway, guys, that's going to do it for me today. I just wanted to go over this because, like I said, I'm a big Splinter Cell fan, and this is reassuring to hear after all this time. If you like the video, hit like. If you want to see more content like this, hit subscribe. Links for Facebook and Twitter will be down below in the description as always. And until next video, I will see you then.